David's English podcast. Like, comment, share. What do you do every single day? What's the first thing you do when you wake up? Today, I'm going to teach you how to talk about your daily habits in clear, natural English. Let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to David's English podcast. I'm David, and I'm really happy you're here today. In this lesson, we're going to talk about daily habits. These are the things you do every day, the routines that make up your life. Maybe you brush your teeth in the morning. Maybe you drink coffee. Maybe you check your phone before bed. These are all daily habits. Learning to talk about your habits is incredibly useful. When you meet new people, they often ask about your day, your routine, your lifestyle. And if you can answer clearly and naturally, you'll sound much more confident in English. So today, I'll teach you the vocabulary, the grammar, and the natural phrases English speakers use when talking about habits. We'll go slowly, step by step. Don't worry if you're a beginner. I'll explain everything clearly. Are you ready? Let's start with the basics. Understanding daily habits. First, let's talk about what a daily habit really is. A habit is something you do regularly. You do it often, sometimes without thinking. For example, when I wake up, I always make coffee. I don't think about it anymore. It's automatic. That's a habit. Daily habits are habits you do every day, or almost every day. They're part of your routine. Let me give you some common examples. Wake up at 7 a.m. Brush your teeth. Take a shower. Eat breakfast. Go to work. Exercise. Cook dinner. Watch TV. Go to bed. These are simple actions, but they happen every day. That's what makes them habits. Now, in English, when we talk about habits, we usually use the present simple tense. This is very important. The present simple shows that something happens regularly, not just one time. For example, I wake up at 7 a.m. This happens every day. She drinks tea in the morning. This is her regular habit. They exercise after work. This is what they do regularly. So remember, for habits, we use present simple. Not past, not future. Present simple. Let's practice the structure. The basic form is subject plus verb plus rest of sentence. For example, I drink coffee. You eat breakfast. He walks to work. She reads before bed. We watch TV in the evening. They go to the gym. Simple, right? This is the foundation. Once you understand this structure, talking about habits becomes much easier. Frequency words. Now, not all habits happen exactly the same way every single day. Sometimes you do something often, sometimes rarely. This is where frequency words become very useful. Frequency words tell us how often something happens. Let me show you the most common ones, from most frequent to least frequent, always to 100% of the time. Example, I always brush my teeth before bed. Usually, about 90% of the time. Example, I usually drink coffee in the morning. Often, about 70% of the time. Example, I often go for a walk after dinner. Sometimes, about 50% of the time. Example, I sometimes eat lunch at my desk. Rarely, about 10% of the time. Example, I rarely stay up past midnight. Never, 0% of the time. Example, I never skip breakfast. Now, where do these words go in a sentence? This is important. In English, we usually put frequency words before the main verb. Listen to these examples. I always wake up at 6 a.m. She usually takes the bus to work. They often eat dinner together. We sometimes watch movies on weekends. He rarely drinks soda. I never go to bed late. Did you notice? The frequency word comes right before the verb. This is the natural position. But there's one exception. With the verb to be, the frequency word comes after the verb. Listen. I am always tired in the morning. She is usually busy on Mondays. They are often late. So, before the main verb, but after the verb to be. Keep this rule in mind. Let me give you a few more examples so you can hear how natural this sounds. I always check my email in the morning. My sister usually calls me on Sundays. We often have pasta for dinner. I sometimes forget to set my alarm. He rarely eats fast food. They never miss their morning coffee. These frequency words make your English sound much more natural and specific. Instead of just saying I exercise, you can say I usually exercise 3 times a week. Much better, right? If you're enjoying this lesson so far, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. It helps me create more free English lessons for you. Thank you. Time expressions for habits. Now let's add more detail to your habit descriptions. We can do this with time expressions. These tell us when something happens. Here are some common time expressions for talking about habits. In the morning. Example, I exercise in the morning. In the afternoon. Example, I usually have a snack in the afternoon. In the evening. Example, we often watch TV in the evening. At night. Example, I read at night. Notice we say in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, but we say at night. This is just how English works. You have to memorize this small difference. We can also talk about specific times. I wake up at 6:30. She starts work at 9 a.m. We eat dinner at 7 p.m. I go to bed at 11 p.m. When talking about days, we use on. I go to the gym on Mondays. She has a meeting on Fridays. We visit my parents on Sundays. For parts of the day combined with days, we can say, I go running on Saturday mornings. He plays soccer on Wednesday evenings. They have brunch on Sunday afternoons. Now, let's put everything together. Here's how you can build a complete sentence about your habits. Using what we've learned. Frequency word plus verb plus time expression. Listen to these examples. I always drink coffee in the morning. She usually goes to the gym after work. We often eat dinner together in the evening. I sometimes read before bed at night. He rarely works on Saturdays. They never skip breakfast on weekdays. Can you hear how natural these sentences sound? This is exactly how native English speakers talk about their habits. Let me give you a few more examples with different verbs. I always wake up at 7 a.m. on weekdays. My brother usually plays video games in the evening. We often go for a walk after dinner. I sometimes work late on Thursdays. She rarely watches TV in the morning. They never eat out on Mondays. These time expressions make your descriptions much clearer and more interesting. Instead of just saying, I exercise, you can say, I usually exercise in the morning before work. That's a complete, natural sentence. Common daily habit verbs. Now I want to teach you some of the most common verbs we use when talking about daily habits. These are words you'll use again and again. Let's start with morning habits. Wake up. To stop sleeping. Example: I wake up at 6 a.m. Get up. To get out of bed. Example: I get up right after my alarm goes off. There's a small difference here. Wake up means you open your eyes. Get up means you actually leave the bed. Sometimes people wake up but stay in bed for a few minutes. Then they get up. Brush your teeth. Example: I always brush my teeth after breakfast. Take a shower or have a shower. Example: I take a shower every morning. Get dressed. Example: I get dressed after my shower. Make breakfast or have breakfast. Example: I usually make breakfast at home. Now, work and daily activities. Go to work. Example: I go to work at 8:30. Start work. Example: I start work at 9 a.m. Take a break. Example: I usually take a break around 3 p.m. Finish work. Example: I finish work at 6 p.m. Go home. Example: I go home right after work. Evening and night habits. Cook dinner or make dinner. Example: I usually cook dinner at 7 p.m. Do the dishes or wash the dishes. Example: my husband does the dishes after dinner. Watch TV. Example: we often watch TV in the evening. Check your phone or check social media. Example: I sometimes check my phone before bed. Go to bed. Example: I always go to bed before midnight. Fall asleep. Example: I usually fall asleep around 11 p.m. Again, notice the difference. Go to bed means you get into bed. Fall asleep means you actually start sleeping. Sometimes there's a gap between these two actions. Let me put some of these verbs into full sentences so you can hear them in context. I wake up at 6:30, but I don't get up until 7. After I brush my teeth, I take a shower. I usually make breakfast before I get dressed. I start work at 9 and take a break at noon. I finish work at 5:30 and go straight home. We cook dinner together and then do the dishes. I often watch TV for an hour before I go to bed. I usually fall asleep pretty quickly. These verbs are the building blocks of talking about your day. Learn them well, and you'll be able to describe your entire routine naturally. Real life examples. Now I want to show you how all of this comes together. I'm going to describe my own daily routine using everything we've learned. Listen carefully and notice the structure. On weekdays, I usually wake up at 6:30 in the morning. I don't get up right away. I always stay in bed for a few minutes and check my phone. Then I get up around 6:45. The first thing I do is make coffee. I always drink coffee in the morning. While the coffee is brewing, I take a shower and get dressed. After that, I have breakfast. I usually eat something simple, like toast or cereal. I start work at 9 a.m. I work from home, so I don't have to commute. That's really nice. During the day, I often take short breaks. I usually have lunch around 1 p.m. Sometimes I make a sandwich. Sometimes I heat up leftovers. I finish work at 5:30. In the evening, I like to relax. I sometimes go for a walk or I read a book. My wife and I usually cook dinner together around 7 p.m. We often watch a TV show while we eat. After dinner, we do the dishes. Then we usually watch another episode of whatever show we're watching. I rarely stay up past 11 p.m. I go to bed around 10:30. And I usually fall asleep pretty quickly. On weekends, my routine is different. I always sleep in. I never set an alarm on Saturdays or Sundays. I often wake up around 8:30 or 9 on Saturday mornings. I usually go to the gym. On Sundays, I like to make a big breakfast. So that's my routine. Now, let me ask you, can you describe your routine using the same structure? Think about it. What do you do every day? Maybe your routine sounds like this. I usually wake up at 7 a.m. I always brush my teeth and take a shower before breakfast. I have breakfast at 8, and then I leave for work at 8:30. I start work at 9. I often eat lunch with my co-workers at noon. I finish work at 6 p.m. and go home. In the evening, I sometimes cook, or sometimes I order food. I usually go to bed around 11. That's a perfect description of a daily routine. Clear, simple, and natural. The key is to use present simple, add frequency words, and include time expressions. When you do this, your English will sound fluent and natural. If you found this helpful, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me continue making these lessons for you. Listening practice. Now let's practice your listening. I'm going to tell you about 3 different people and their daily habits. Listen carefully and try to understand their routines. Don't worry if you don't catch everything the first time. I'll speak slowly and clearly. Person 1. Maria. Maria is a teacher. She wakes up at 6 a.m. every weekday. She always starts her day with a cup of tea. She doesn't drink coffee. After tea, she takes a shower and gets dressed. She usually wears professional clothes because she works at a school. She leaves home at 7:30 and drives to work. School starts at 8:30. So she has time to prepare her classroom. She teaches English to high school students. She often eats lunch with other teachers in the staff room. School finishes at 3 p.m., but Maria usually stays until to grade papers. When she gets home, she's tired, so she rarely cooks. She often orders takeout or makes something simple like pasta. In the evening, she likes to read or watch Netflix. She goes to bed early, usually around 10 p.m., because she has to wake up early the next day. Person 2. James. James works in an office in the city. He's not a morning person, so he always feels tired when his alarm goes off at 7 a.m. He usually hits the snooze button once or twice before he finally gets up around 7:20. He takes a quick shower and gets dressed. He rarely has time for breakfast at home, so he often buys a coffee and a muffin on his way to work. He takes the subway to work. It usually takes about 30 minutes. James starts work at 9 a.m. His job can be stressful, so he always takes his lunch break seriously. He usually goes to a nearby park to eat and relax. He finishes work at 6 p.m., sometimes later if there's a deadline. When he gets home, he usually goes to the gym for an hour. After the gym, he makes dinner. He likes to cook healthy meals. He often makes chicken with vegetables or salmon with rice. In the evening, he sometimes plays video games or watches sports. He goes to bed around midnight because he's a night owl. Person 3. Lisa. Lisa is retired. She doesn't have to wake up early anymore, and she loves that. She usually gets up around 8 or 8:30. She always makes herself a nice breakfast with eggs, fruit, and coffee. She takes her time in the morning. She often reads the news on her tablet while she eats. After breakfast, she usually goes for a walk in her neighborhood. She tries to walk at least 30 minutes every day for her health. When she gets back, she sometimes does housework or works in her garden. She loves gardening. She has lunch around noon. In the afternoon, she often meets friends for coffee or goes to her book club. She's very social. She enjoys staying busy even though she's retired. In the evening, Lisa usually cooks dinner for herself. She's an excellent cook. After dinner, she often calls her daughter or her grandchildren. She watches TV for a little while, but she always goes to bed by 10 p.m. She likes to get a good night's sleep. Now, think about those 3 routines. Which one is most similar to yours? Everyone's habits are different, and that's what makes talking about routines so interesting. Talking about changes in habits. Before we finish, I want to teach you something extra. Sometimes we want to talk about how our habits used to be different. Maybe you changed your routine, or maybe you're trying to develop new habits. For this, we use the phrase used to. Used to describes habits you had in the past, but don't have anymore. Listen to these examples. I used to wake up at 10 a.m., but now I wake up at 7. She used to eat fast food every day, but now she cooks healthy meals. We used to watch TV every night, but now we read instead. I used to go to bed late, but now I go to bed early. This is really useful when you want to show change or improvement. Maybe you're learning English, so you can say, I used to be afraid to speak English, but now I practice every day. Or maybe you changed your lifestyle. I used to never exercise, but now I go to the gym 3 times a week. You can also talk about habits you're trying to develop. For this, you can use phrases like, I'm trying to, I want to start, I'm working on. For example, I'm trying to drink more water every day. I want to start waking up earlier. I'm working on going to bed before midnight. These phrases show that you're in the process of building new habits. It's not automatic yet, but you're making an effort. Change takes time, and that's okay. The important thing is that you're aware of your habits and you're working to improve them if you want to. The same is true with learning English. If you're watching this video, you're building a new habit, learning English regularly. That's fantastic. Keep going. Okay, everyone, we've covered a lot today. Let me summarize everything quickly. Today, we learned how to talk about daily habits in English. We learned that we use the present simple tense for habits. We learned frequency words like always, usually, often, sometimes, rarely, and never. We learned time expressions like in the morning, at night, and on Mondays. And we learned common verbs for daily activities. We also practiced listening to real examples. And we talked about how to describe changes in your habits using used too. This is all very practical English that you can use immediately. The next time someone asks you, "What's your daily routine?" or "What do you usually do on weekends?" you'll know exactly how to answer clearly and naturally. Now I want you to practice. Here's your homework. Write down your daily routine in English. Use everything we learned today. Write at least 10 sentences. Use present simple and frequency words. Include time expressions and use the verbs we practiced. For example, I usually wake up at 7 a.m. I always brush my teeth before breakfast. I have breakfast at 7:30. Write your full routine. This will help you practice and remember everything we talked about today. If you want, you can share your routine in the comments below. I'd love to read about your daily habits, and I'll try to give you feedback if I can. Before you go, if you haven't already, please subscribe to David's English podcast. I create new lessons every week to help you improve your English. Click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Also, if you enjoyed today's lesson, give it a thumbs up. It really helps other English learners find this content. Thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate you being here. Remember, learning English is a daily habit tool. The more you practice, the better you'll get. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Take care, everyone. Bye for now. David's English podcast. Like, comment, share.